So my name is Saravanan Rajaram. I'm a senior principal engineer here at McStarlight, which is a part of Standex Aerospace and Defense. Here we make large sheet metal components for commercial aviation, safety, and defense.
Can you walk us through what your production process looked like prior to NC Transform?
Post NCT, there's a lot of manual grinding in our process. So post NCT, we were able to reduce about 50% of our manual grind process.
So how many people were involved in the hand blending process, and what did that mean in terms of time per part?
So it gives us a 50% reduction in manual grind time.
And did that go from 5 to 7 people per part down to just 1 person per part?
Right, so it used to be like 5 people to a part, and now it's down to like 2.5.
What were the risks or inconsistencies that came with relying on the manual process?
So with the manual process, the grinder will grind the part and then check the thickness, and it's a back and forth process, right? So with NCT, it's actually getting us to the actual thickness that we need to get through. So in terms of the risk, it's reduced.
Was there a point where you knew the process was not sustainable?
Like I said, the process is very manual, so it was not sustainable in the sense that our grinding department has a large turnover rate, right? Because it's a very manual process. So implementing NCT has also helped with our turnover.
Tell us a little bit about IMTS. What were you looking for when you went there?
So actually, yeah. So at IMTS, we were looking for adaptive machining capabilities, right? Really to reduce our manual process with sheet metal parts. No two sheet metal parts are the exact same. So being able to adapt is something that we needed to use. So that's really why we went to IMTS.
Yes. So when you came across NC Transform, what was that moment like? Did you immediately know that it could solve your problem?
When I came across NC Transform, by chance, by the way, yes, immediately I knew that this was a solution for us.
So what was that conversation like, and how quickly did things progress from the first meeting?
Right. So the conversation with Chris and Alex from NCSS, and they explained the NC Transform process. The implementation process was 2 to 3 days, and within a month, we got it optimized and production ready.
You brought in a specialist with prior NC Transform experience to handle the programming side. What drove that decision?
We brought in a specialist who knew NC Transform so that it made the implementation process optimized, right? Like essentially, it made it a lot easier to implement the process.
How fast did you go from hardware in place to running real parts?
So essentially, it took a month to implement NCT and getting it production ready, which I mentioned.
Were there any surprises during the implementation?
So, I think the biggest challenge was really on the hardware side, which is not NCT related, right?
What does the process look like now compared to before?
So the process now, we've actually removed a couple of manufacturing sequences for manual grinding, right? Which has drastically reduced our manufacturing time, right?
Yeah. Now, what does that mean for the people that work on your team on those processes? Were you able to displace them in other areas of a company?
Our grind department has the largest turnover rate, right? The manual grinding process, right? So that basically reduced that drastically.
From a business standpoint, how do you quantify the impact?
So basically, like I mentioned, 50% reduction in manual grind process, right? So the production hours have gone down.
What would you say to another manufacturer who is relying on a manual process and not using NCT?
So to people who are interested in using NC Transform, I would advise to go ahead and try it, right? Because it does have a huge impact in their manufacturing process, right? You become less people reliant, you become more machine reliant, which in these days is really important.